Welcome to Teen Up, a podcast that digs deeper into the thoughts of teenagers' mind about the wonders of the world.
If you're new here, I'm your host, Isabella.
And I'm Glenn. If you're not, welcome back.
Here is a quick disclaimer. We are two teenagers that are doing our best to research everything. However, we are not experts, so if we offend anyone or say something wrong, we want to apologize in advance. Please email us to tell us what was wrong. Thank you. What is the difference between animals and humans? Why can we express emotions that other living things can't? Why can we think like the way we do? What exactly is human intelligence?
These are the strange questions that no one can explain quite clearly, but they trigger us to think further about the matter. This month, we are going to explore the topic of intelligence, and in this episode, we will figure out some of the answers to these questions.
So before we begin, I'm going to blast some brain facts at you. After all, we are talking about human intelligence. So did you know that the brain itself cannot feel pain?
What?
That is so strange.
Okay.
I know, right?
That's enough for today.
It's so strange. Yeah, okay. Fact number 2, as we get older, the brain loses almost 1 gram per year.
Oh, that's a lot. I know it like gets smaller.
Really?
It doesn't produce new cell, but your cell dies. So I kind of know that, but I didn't know that it loses 1 gram per year. That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. Okay, third fact. The human brain is capable of creating more ideas equivalent to that of the atoms of the universe. Crazy, right? Crazy.
I don't get it.
The different ideas you have equals to the amount of the atoms of the universe.
Oh.
Crazy.
That is crazy. Wow.
That's a lot. Humans are smart. Fact number 4, the human brain is very soft like butter. I would say that this is kind of disgusting.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
I have seen those. Have you watched Grey's Anatomy?
Nope.
Anyways, there are scenes that they got cut into human brain and it is super soft. It is so strange. Okay, the next one, the last one. The nervous system transmits messages to the brain at the speed of 180 miles per hour. Super fast. Crazy.
You mean what things travel in our mind?
Yeah.
Like ideas?
No, it's just messages. You know how neurons transmit messages?
Yeah, I thought it's with the speed of light.
Oh, really?
Because it's electric signals.
I have no idea, but yeah, this is what I saw on one of the websites. Okay, so back to human intelligence. What is intelligence, first of all? So I am quoting, intelligence can be defined as the ability to solve complex problems or make decisions with outcomes benefiting the actor, and has evolved in life form to adapt to diverse environments for their survival and reproduction. So basically, it helps you solve problems that are very complex, and it could evolve over time and evolve into different environments in order to help the species or that living thing survive and reproduce.
So basically, intelligence is just whatever that helps us live.
I suppose. So like for animals, problem solving and decision making are the functions of their nervous systems, and like our brains are related to the nervous system. Yeah, so that is where our intelligence come from. So that is human intelligence, basically. So there are questions about how AI or like computers versus human brains, like which is better? Are computers going to take over the human race? So comparing these two, computers have information and data, and humans have that too. This is like really abstract, but we also have information, but we don't have data like computers do. What's different from computers and humans is that computers don't have ideas. Computers don't have innovative ideas. they don't have creative ideas or any creative things. They only produce and intake things that are provided to them, already exists. However, human brains have things that are unpredictable, that cannot be calculated from algorithms or things like that.
Right, like, with AI,
Mm-hmm.
you need to train like the thing.
Right.
And basically you just feed them a lot of data and that thing will just train on its own. But, when it's something that can be calculated, they can be quite good at it, and like way better than what humans can do.
Right. So moving on to this next one, computers don't make mistakes. They are taught to, do something after all those training. They don't make mistakes after all that. But humans are very prone to errors. Yeah, and we could like just see that by how clumsy we are sometimes, like dropping things here and there and losing our keys. Our computers don't do that. That does make human brains less trustworthy. Okay, so like Glenn said before, computers do like training, right? They do deep learning and they learn different algorithms of how to solve different problems, but we don't. We basically think. Like the process of us learning about something, that is thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But computers don't think. They only take in data. They don't process it. And computers are really fast and all, but they break down while humans don't. Our brains don't break down, and our brains are always having some type of activity even when we're sleeping or stuff like that. And our brains have something called activity pattern. So this activity pattern is like a more formal way of calling our thoughts. So activity patterns is basically an active state of that specific neuronal network, which is that you have a lot of neurons in your brains, right? And it's basically them forming into like a big network, which is when you're having a thought or putting many things together to form a thought. Computers don't do that, because they only have input and output. There's no big network like that.
I mean, not necessarily, but the basic idea.
Yeah.
I guess.
And our brains, we don't know what is going on. Like, even the person won't know what he or she is thinking subconsciously. Like, I may be picking up a signal of what I am looking at, but I may not recognize that I'm looking at this thing. Our brains are more unpredictable, and we don't learn by, intaking data. We learn by trial and error, and through social interactions. We would come up with an idea and we would share it with our friends and family or, coworkers and stuff like that. And others would tell us if that's a good idea or a bad idea. And that is a way that we learn through social interactions. And we also learn things like we shouldn't touch fire through trial and error or learning from others and seeing them get hurt,
Touching fire.
Right. And computers don't do that. And one big thing that computers don't do is what they do is deep learning, but they don't do deep understanding. So what exactly is deep understanding? The example here is you have heard of Brexit, right?
Yeah.
But what if we put it into context like Fraxit, as in like France exiting? We would understand what that term means without actually explaining it because we get the pattern. We understand this pattern, or like return. You know what that means, right?
I guess.
We could guess the context of it, the meaning of it through the word Brexit.
Right.
But computers cannot do that. We could look at a chair and know it's a chair. And the computer could learn that through, algorithms and understanding that chairs is maybe a rectangle with 4 legs. But it could also be a yoga ball. And we would think that could be a chair too. However, that does not fit the deep learning that the computer has gone through, And it is definitely not a rectangle with 4 legs. It is a sphere. However, we view it as something we could sit on. So basically, it is a chair because we understand these things differently from computers. We could, adapt to different situations easier because we understand it while the computer only learns.
Yeah, and I think some people would say that's intelligence, like the ability to understand or like the ability to do this. Is it like deductive learning?
Something like that. Our brains, I talked about ideas, right? We could just form ideas out of nowhere, and the best idea often said by other people is like when they said that this idea came to me when I was in the shower or when I was brushing my teeth this morning, you know? Like these ideas.
Right.
So we should learn to step back from things. Like if we are doing like a hard task, we would only want to do it for a while and then take a rest. Perhaps we'll do the dishes next. And when we're doing the dishes, we will have the idea of how to do this hard task because we're doing a repetitive task that does not require more thinking because we do it all the time. So our brain would focus on other things that is worth thinking.
Yeah, I understand that. It's like when every time you just can't think of something, people will tell you, go take a break. Maybe go take a walk. Walking can help with thinking, apparently.
And like there's a quote that is to be kissed by a muse, which is, when a new idea comes to mind when you're doing something repetitive. So after the break, we are going to look at the differences between animals and humans.
Welcome back. Now we're going to talk about the difference between humans and animals.
So the main difference between animals and humans is that humans are able to have logical thinking and, they are more rational animals.
Right.
Whereas animals do things more because of their instincts or their impulses, while humans can think if that is like a rational thing to do. That is like one of the main things that makes us different, and that has caused us to put more effort into other things rather than just
living.
Right. And there is this TED Talk that talks about why human brains are different from other animals' brains. So our brains are larger than other animals compared to, their body size. Our brains take up about 2% of our body weight, which is a lot larger than compared to like a whale or a rodent.
Mm-hmm.
But our brain actually contains a lot of neurons than other animals, which makes us able to think more. Our neurons are able to work faster because there are more of them.
Right.
And
right.
Our brain actually takes up a lot of the calories that we eat every day and requires 25% of our energy that our body requires to run per day, which is quite a lot because you're supposed to eat 2,000 calories a day and it takes 500 calories just to run your brain, which I thought was pretty crazy.
So I guess you can lose weight by thinking.
I mean, I guess, is this like why I'm more hungry when I'm studying?
Yeah, I think that is.
Wow, I should study more. Okay, and we have on the average of 86 billion neurons in our 1.2 kilos brain, which is a ton. That is so much. And you would think that our brains are a lot larger than other animals, but compared to primates, we are actually just quite about the same proportion. Like the ratio is quite right for primates, and we are primates. So comparing ourselves to like rodents or fishes are not fair. The thing that this person said in her TED Talk is that the human advantage of us being, so smart while we're able to flourish and thrive is because we know how to cook. You see, our brain takes up so much calories that we eat per day, right? And we need to find out a way to intake more calories under a shorter amount of time, or else we would have been feeding the whole day just to keep our brains working.
Mm-hmm.
So we discovered fire and we learned to cook, and that is able to make food easier to digest and easier to give us the amount of energy that is able to activate or all the neurons in our brains. So that is one big thing that she mentioned that is different from other animals and and other animals do take most of their time trying to survive, hunting, or, looking for ways to survive, while we could move on to developing culture, agriculture, civilization, cities, and all the things that we have just because we could cook.
Right, totally. And I think also the ability to farm.
Right. Agriculture part. Okay, so it is quite interesting to see how cooking is the main thing that allows us to spend more time on other things rather than just, trying to survive. We have discovered and explored a lot into this topic of human intelligence, and we are going to get further into this topic in next week's episode of how we are different from animals. Thank you for listening to this episode. Remember to like, subscribe, and share our channel.
Also, comment down below if you have any thoughts. You could click on the bell to get notified when we upload a new video as well.
Thank you and bye.